Good evening, everybody. Happy Thursday here for an NGS doubleheader, joined by co-caster extraordinaire, Famous, a fellow tank player from Division B East, Uncomfortably Numb. Famous, how's it going, man?
Not too bad. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. It's always more fun to co-cast than solo cast, let me tell you. I was just about to say we have all 10 players in lobby, and then one of them dropped. So we have 9 out of 10 players in lobby, just waiting for one more, and should be ready to go after that.
Oh, there we go.
So while I get this going, why don't we give our watchers here a little synopsis on Map 1, Infernal Shrines. Did I lose you, Famous?
Yeah, nope, I'm here.
What are your thoughts on Infernal Shrines every time you see Infernal in competitive?
Oh, Infernal. Okay, yeah, sorry, I thought you were maybe playing a video there. Infernal Shrines. So, a lot of emphasis on the wave clear side of things. The objective is very powerful, so you'll look to see teams pick up one early and then break down one of the side walls to get in there and help them out. John Cena, as he's belovedly called by the community. He jumps over the wall, gets a big stun. If you can follow that up, that can mean some pretty snowbally kills. Top lane is typically the solo lane matchup, so we'll look for that. Mercenary camps also pretty powerful on this map. You have the Khazra camps, 3 of them, 2 in the mid lane, 1 in the bottom, and then 2 shaman camps for each side, or 1 for each side, rather, on the top lane.
Absolutely. So we do have, first of all, what we have is your picture not where it should be. Bad caster.
Oh, that's no big deal.
Oops, hold on. I'm going to fix it. So we have Dad Bods here on the left. They have first ban, first pick. What kind of, in the meta right now, I think we're looking at Garrosh, Maiev, Diablo sometimes you see. There we go. Now we got you fixed.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so typically you see the Garrosh and the Maiev, or potentially a Medivh. I'm not sure if we'll be seeing that one tonight, but Maiev is still very strong, even though the nerfs have come through as well as Garrosh.
Yeah, we talked about briefly before the game. Also, chat, please let me know about my sound. I did some adjustments with it, so let me know if I'm coming in too hot, too cold, too backgroundy, etc., etc. We talked briefly about kind of the difference offline between the divisions, and Division D definitely not quite as married to the meta, so you'll see some different things, like not usually going to see a first ban Chromie at the higher divisions.
Yeah, that's fair.
I will say, though, I'm going to call that the Matt ban. There's a player on my team, and anytime the other team gets Chromie, he's like insta-tilt. He just hates her being on the other team. So we're going to say that's the Matt ban for Dad Bods there.
Right on. Yeah, Chromie, one of those heroes that can be extremely frustrating to play against. She's got the longest range casts in the game. Does tons of damage. It's really hard to tell where her W, Dragon's Breath, will land because it doesn't show the indicator on the ground.
Yeah, not only that is there's the Garrosh ban, a little more prototypical there coming out of Wholesome Halfwits. Back to Chromie, both of her heroics are certainly viable. Slowing Sands on Shrine is a really great zoning tool. On the flip side, though, if Wholesome Halfwits gets a healer with no cleanse and their Chromie is out there, the temporal loop is brutal. However, she's not in this game, and first pick Diablo, top tank left on the board with Garrosh ban taken by Dad Bods, and solo laner Ragnaros response out of Wholesome Halfwits.
Yeah, really like the Diablo pickup. Always really strong. Very strong into other tanks after level 13. It's a stacking quest where each shadow charge he hits, he does 2% more damage on each additional shadow charge, up to a total of 10% damage.
Now, interesting selections with a Ragnaros and a Sonya. Typically, you're only going to see one of those guys because of the solo laners. However, so that kind of tips their hand. more than likely going to go triple Mutt frontline out of Wholesome
Yeah,
Halfwits.
for sure. There's the Medivh. Wow, cool. Okay. Really strong synergies between Medivh and Diablo. Look for the portal in the early game just to have Diablo be able to shadow charge immediately from a portal, or to get a flip into portal so he doesn't have to run up to a target. As well as after heroics coming online, you have the APOC leyline combo that is very easy to pull off. You just fire the leyline seal, and then you hit the APOC button immediately after, and lines up some stuns perfectly.
Yeah, Diablo and Medivh have really great synergy, especially with the the portal too. Diablo is already with that increased shadow charge rate. Feels like he can dive you from halfway across the map. But if both those guys are on the same page, they can really increase just how far Diablo can lunge out if he chooses to do so.
It might be honestly one of the strongest pairings in the game.
For sure, but most teams don't have a Medivh player is the issue.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm really impressed to see where this lands in this Division D matchup.
So Stukov banned out, one of the two top healers right now. The zoning of the silence on shrines is really rough, so I like seeing that ban out of Wholesome Halfwits.
Yeah, for sure. Stukov also comboing really well with the Diablo as well. You can drop the silence on top of the overpower, which makes whatever target is targeted by Diablo silenced and also just unable to use their escape. So it's a really strong kill comp. It's a good ban.
And with that exciting Medivh pick, we kind of blew right over the Gul'dan, but Gul'dan's so good in the 4-man, allowing really fast rotations. Also excellent at clearing out the Shrine Guardians on the objective very quickly, so a solid pick there as well.
Yeah, Gul'dan's really strong right now. His level 7 talent, Curse of Exhaustion, I believe, just got a slight adjustment, where it now also deals 50% more damage to a target if they have a corruption stack on them while you're casting your W, and also applies an additional 25% slow. So maybe we'll see that out here tonight.
Yeah, the changes they made this week on the Gul'dan look like they're trying to make some kind of a viable W build out of Gul'dan, so curious to see if that sees any play. I was going to respond with that ETC ban, kind of choking Wholesome Halfwits out of the tank, but they went Stitches, so I expect maybe a Malf here for a root follow-up, because right now they don't have a whole... No, they go Lucio, so my only concern with this is no hard CC to follow up on that hook right now.
Yeah, Malfurion's typically the standard.
Yeah, maybe
well,
maybe an Uther for the stun.
Yeah, we could see that, or we could have seen that rather with the Lucio coming out. Ragnaros could provide Sulfuric Smash, I guess, as a follow-up to the Stitches hook, but that's a little more difficult to land.
So as of yesterday, Kael'thas was banned, but due to the hot patch, he is available today. I'm wondering if that's that last pick going to come out of Wholesome Halfwits here. Kael'thas is really good on shrines, and that would give him the follow-up CC on the hook as well. So
yeah, patch pretty much everything that's missing from the comp, which is just the lack of CC following the Stitches as well as range damage.
Right. Now, I will say from Dad Bods with the Sonya on the side of Halfwits, they also lack a little bit of hard CC to knock her out of that spin, and we're going to have a Deckard Malthael. It would have taken me 30 guesses before I got to those two heroes to round out that comp. This is definitely different. Not standard. Sometimes these wacky comps are difficult to deal with because you don't see them. So I'm really curious to see how Dad Bods executes with what they've drafted.
Yeah, Deckard paired with Medivh might be really powerful. What I've noticed so far with the brief amount of Deckard play I've been able to witness is that his one weakness is obviously a lack of burst mitigation, which Medivh covers with the shielding. So the two of them in tandem might be quite powerful.
Now, as a totally unrelated to this game and draft side note, last week I got Twitch affiliate, which means I get a custom emote for my channel, right? And just yesterday, my emote was approved. So I get to use it for the first time after those picks in channel now because it's pretty appropriate.
Nice. That's awesome. That's a fair assessment. The Junkrat coming as the last pick. Okay. Adds the wave clear that they were missing, as well as the shrine control. I guess you could drop the trap for the Stitches hook follow-up.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing where they're going to get value out of the hook because there's nothing to hold them there to put the damage into it. And other than Sulfurous Smash, they also lack burst. Actually, both teams kind of lack burst.
Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. This is going to be a slugfest no matter what.
And it'll be interesting because that actually works for both supports when you think about it. Deckard doesn't have burst healing. He wants those potions out to collect. Lucio provides healing over time. So I'm not quite sure who that will favor, except I think the Medivh Gul'dan poke damage, especially after Medivh's quest, is going to be a little more oppressive than the Junkrat poke is.
Yeah, I imagine the damage over time effects of both of those abilities are really going to weigh more heavily on Lucio as opposed to just the Junkrat as the range carry on the side of...
So who won the draft, Famous?
In my mind, it's got to be the Dad Bods. I just love seeing a Medivh Diablo. And if they can pull off that combo, it's really, really powerful. Malthael is actually quite strong into Sonya and Stitches. Will be interesting to see if Ragnaros is perhaps the sole laner to deal with Malthael. It is a little bit stronger in that matchup.
And the other thing is triple melee into a Malthael is not particularly easy. Last Right's kind of the new hotness, but I wonder if with so many melee heroes if the side of Dad Bods even thinks about Tormented Souls.
Yeah, there's definitely an argument for it. Adds just even more layers of sustain, and then the burst potential of Last Rites really isn't working in tandem with any of the abilities on the rest of their roster. So,
Twitch chat, I did turn up Famous. Let me know if he's coming in better. So, blue team, the side of VGTC Dad Bods, we have Bloody Regime, appropriately on Gul'dan, Orolobe on Diablo, Team Captain Murphy on Deckard Cain, Nihilus on Malthael, and Ogle the Great on Medivh.
Awesome. And then for the side of Wholesome Halfwits, you have Malicis Mal on Sonya, Bubba on Stitches, Dragon Slayer on Lucio, Dr. Ciela on Junkrat, and then Ragnaros on Guac Cousteau.
So if Malthael and Ragnaros stay in that top lane, that's a lane Malthael really should win, I would think. And with a Gul'dan in the 4-man, I think these lanes should be won by Dad Bods if they rotate appropriately, especially if they use those portals to quicken the rotations.
You're coming out just a little bit too early, but yeah, for sure. That should be their game plan here.
So it looks like the side of Wholesome Halfwits with two pretty solid solo laners, they're not going to rotate. They're going to let Rag and Sonya solo and leave a 3-man or 2.5-man with Lucio rotating mid. Junkrat can certainly clear that out fast enough, so they're not going to lose a whole lot by staying in that kind of orientation there.
Yeah, Guac Cousteau was already forced to back by Nihilus on top, so he's already doing a very good job in that solo.
And by the way, I love the name Guac Cousteau.
That's amazing, yeah. It's just perfect.
My favorite name I've casted so far, I was actually kind of disappointed because his name inside of Discord was David Schwimmer, and I'm like, that's hilarious. I hope I get to cast David Schwimmer. But he actually had a different battle tag. I was like, oh no, I wanted to cast David Schwimmer.
Yeah, that would be pretty good.
So camps have popped, neither team really prioritizing them. Both teams kind of just content to hang out and clear and soak. Neither team really taking any undue risks here.
Yeah, no, just totally even for the moment. No experience lead. No one seems to be missing anything. Oh, there you go. Ragnaros.
Wow. The name of the hour, Guac Cousteau, actually takes out Malthael in the solo. That's not something you're really going to see too much. So solo laners never get any love on the cast because they're never on screen for the observer, but props to Guac Cousteau there, who's now being collapsed on by Diablo and Deckard Cain.
So yeah, we're not seeing any mercenary picked up by any side. I'd like to see in maybe the future teams. Oh, there you go, Malthael, Nihilus on the side of Dadbods is picking up their Shaman camp at the moment, which is always a good move right before the objective as it applies pressure across the map.
Yeah, typically you're going to see teams start to pick up shrines much earlier than this. However, when Malthael finishes it is going to be an advantage to Dadbods as they are going to get pressure away from the objective. That's really how you want to time those Merc camps if you can, is take the off-lane Merc camp to pressure during the objective. And that forces Wholesome Halfwits to either let top lane push out or to send somebody up there and be at a disadvantage in the objective.
Diablo bumped in there, taking some heavy damage.
Now, late game, Diablo is an absolute monster as far as sustainability goes, but this early, he can be susceptible to be blowing up there. Ogle the Great also took a ton of damage, but big root coming out of Deckard there. And both teams sitting at about similar life, although a big stun on the Sonya.
Another root coming out.
Still...
so Ragnaros has popped his trait, so they will win the shrine using that.
And they needed to win that shrine too. If they lost that shrine while allowing top lane to free push, that would have put them in a definite early game, on the back foot there for sure.
Yeah, that Shaman camp's already picked up one tower and a wall, and should net them a second tower as well.
So nice job of baiting the John Cena over the wall there, and a pretty solid defense coming out of Dadbods.
Yeah, Wholesome Halfwits electing to soak both lanes while the 3-man pushes bottom. It's generally a pretty solid strategy. Typically, though, you'd still like to be able to get at least the front wall with your first Punisher if you're doing that. So a little bit more siege damage to the 3-man would have been ideal.
Now, posturing with the portal, nobody's using it. Sometimes you'll see teams just kind of use it to fake them out, but no fake out here as a portal invade. However, Dadbod's going to be outnumbered here 5 to... Nope. They are now a numbers advantage, and Ogle the Great diving in deep. Nice portal there, and a double kill for Dadbods with Stitches and Rag going down.
Yeah, all the while, Malice's Mal getting a little soak up top, so that'll net them a little bit more experience and lessen the loss of that kill in the camp.
Giggle Schmack turned him up a little bit more. Let me know if that's all the way there. I can adjust him a little higher if need be.
Alright, just gotta talk louder, I guess.
You can do that too?
Yeah. How is our Medivh stacking going?
He is at 20, so I think he needs 40 to get there. It puts him about halfway there. Actually, it puts him exactly halfway there. That's my official math.
5 minutes 50, not too bad. That's fair.
So about a level deficit here for advantage for Dadbods, and a real nice aggressive portal invasion on the camps here. Early advantage to them. I think both sides will probably have 10s before the next objective. Dadbods certainly will. Wholesome Halfwits will be pretty close.
Another mercenary pickup for Dadbods here.
And
map pressure.
Wholesome Halfwits yet to actually capture a camp. They tried to pick up the mid lane siege, but were invaded and taken out. Level 10s picked up by Dadbods. We do have Leyline Seal, Apocalypse. Oh, a nice hook and a Junkrat onto the Tibbles. Really nice play out of Wholesome Halfwits. The portal is there. He is able to get away. Medivh, Ogle the Great to the rescue.
Okay, I like the little combo they have there. Set up the mine for the bump off the hook.
For sure.
That's cheeky.
Very cheeky.
Really nice.
And it is Last Rites out of Malthael, Horrify out of Gul'dan, and Deckard Cain being cheeky and deciding on his... in the top, I saw the timer go off on Last Rites, and I couldn't get up here in time for it to actually kill. So Nellis actually picks up the Last Rites kill on the Sonya right before the objective pops. Sonya will be up in time to contest, but a nice play by Malthael.
Deckard does elect to go with Lornado.
All right, indeed.
Any preference on those heroics?
I think it's subjective and also dependent on what you're trying to set up. I've seen teams use the stay a while and listen with Li Ming pretty surgically if you do it right, because you insta set up the reset for her, so it just eliminates somebody. I think generally speaking, Lornado is going to be better.
We see Lava Wave coming up for Ragnaros.
I saw. Yeah. Awesome. I mean, Lava Wave
would be happy.
Yeah, Lava Wave, especially post 20, puts a lot of pressure.
Well done.
So 1-for-1. Diablo goes down. He does have souls and is on his way back. Rag goes down. Gul'dan running for his life, but Sonya lands the spear and the finisher. So all of those big-bodied hit points paying dividends here for Wholesome Halfwits.
Stitches a little bit on an island. Should fall here momentarily.
Yep, and all that momentum going down. Junkrat and Sonya really need to bowl out here. There's a nice shadow charge. Yeah. Junkrat going to try to poke away, but already, 13 of these down. They're not going to finish this one off.
No, yeah, this should be the first immortal for the side of Bods this game.
So for the side of Wholesome Halfwits, we didn't go over heroics yet. We have Riptire for Junkrat, Lava Wave for Ragnaros, Wrath of the Berserker for Sonya. As we already saw, a very well-timed sound barrier out of Lucio, and Putrid Bile coming out of the Stitches.
Yeah, all in all, pretty standard outside of that Lava Wave, which is always fun to see.
Yeah, and I started to say, but we got interrupted by these teams actually playing. Is post 20 double Lava Wave does put a ton of pressure on the map. It's not really, you don't really, take talents based on what they can do post 20, but something to consider.
Yeah.
That's a nice Putrid Bile by Bubba to really keep them back, but he's going to go down.
Leyline should be the APOC follow. Oh, it's on cooldown. It's unfortunate.
Well, that did isolate out Stitches and allowed them to pick up the kill, Ogle the Great, with a pretty nice leyline there.
Yeah, for sure. Lava Wave goes out top. Sonya all the while taking that Kazir cap on bottom. That's an interesting decision.
Yeah, maybe deciding they're a little down in level if they can get a little soak on the side. I mean, that mid fort was going down anyway, Sonya there or not.
Yeah, they only lost one hero there, so all in all, not too bad. Caught up on some XP as well.
We must have missed something because we got a lull out of Ogle the Great there.
He's laughing at something.
Yeah, something was funny. We missed it.
So we got the Shaman camp being started for Wholesome Halfwits, and it looks like Bods are going to go do their own. Just to trade for camps at the moment.
There we go. So finally, Wholesome Halfwits starting to prioritize the mercs a little. Sonya picked up bottom, and they just captured their bruisers as well. Gul'dan and Sonya squaring off in the bottom lane. Both teams posturing mid. Missed hook onto the Malthael, however, the concussion mine gets him. So teams kind of spread out now. Wholesome Halfwits making sure they got all lanes covered right now. Got to make sure you don't get caught out separated, though.
Yeah, they're doing a good job to generate some extra experience by soaking all the lanes and catching up. Clearing that mid camp as well. Yeah,
this next objective is particularly important for Wholesome Halfwits, as they will likely be same talent tier, and that's going to be the last time before 20 they'll have that. So they really want to take advantage of that. Nice concussion mine onto the Diablo. Guac Cousteau coming in flanking position, starting to put some pressure on the Medivh. Lornado goes out. Sonya and Gul'dan AFK from this fight, though.
Yeah, such is the life of the solo laner. Good hook on Diablo there. Yeah, looks like teams will just trade some cooldowns and then disengage.
Yep, so 16 on the horizon for Bods. This caster clearly didn't know what he's talking about, because it looks like they will be talent tier up by the time this objective pops next. So big decisions for Wholesome Halfwits. What's the call and comms on this objective if you're Wholesome Halfwits?
I mean, your top fort's exposed. You're gonna be down a talent tier, so it's generally a good idea to just soak some different lanes. Maybe even just push bottom lane, try and snipe that fort.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. You have 4-man push bot, maybe leave Junkrat in mid to pick up the soak there. You would end up. Oh, we did lose Diablo. We'll see if these teams call for a pause. You would. Then there's the pause. All right. Well, let's go ahead and switch here. Of course, if you opt to push that top lane or a bottom lane, if you're Wholesome Halfwits, the proper response by Bods is to push top.
Yeah, for sure.
But they need to trade that out to get on the same tier. Yeah,
they got to make up some experience somewhere, and that top fort is going to go down regardless, assuming they lose the Immortal, which technically likely they should, given the talent disadvantage.
So let's talk about scaling. If this game gets post 20, is there any of these two comps that you think scales harder than the other one?
I think Deckard Cain at level 20 is kind of unreal.
Yeah.
The Bottomless Flasks, I believe that's what that's called.
Yes.
Is just a ridiculous amount of healing in a sustained battle, which this will likely continue as.
Particularly in siege situations, I was watching an HGC, scratch that, watching an NGS game just the other night, and one of the teams had a Deckard Cain post 20 with Bottomless Flasks. They literally just stood just outside the range of the core with the keep down and like sieged it indefinitely until they eventually got a pick and ended the game. But with the infinite flasks or never-ending flasks or whatever they're calling it, they were like in no danger down there. They just hung out there.
He provides just so much healing at that point that you really can't deal with it. On the side of Wholesome Halfwits, however, if they do elect to go, as you had alluded, the double lava wave, that can give them some pretty excellent macro pressure. Assuming we have some catapults on the map as well, you can kind of proxy those across the map using the lava waves, get some more pressure on keeps not keeps, core.
Yeah, for sure. And I think some of those, looks like, what did I do? Don't do that. Go back. I'm terrible. Okay. Let me see if both teams are.
Ready?
RR. All right, gonna do the countdown. There we go.
Okay, let's see what Wholesome Halfwits decide to do here.
And let's go back to talking about Deckard a little bit. I think one of the ways to dealing with him, especially in the early to mid game, is you have to put burst damage together that he can't really respond to. And that's not something, especially without Sulfurous Smash, that I think Wholesome Halfwits has in their comp right now.
Yeah, they really only have Riptire for burst. They do have some displacement with the Stitches Hook and the Lucio Boop, as well as the Junkrat Mine, which can give them a little bit of isolation to maybe blow someone up, but it's pretty tricky to do, for sure.
So now they did pick up 16, and they're Guac Cousteau opting to make the stand here in this top lane, despite the fact that there is no wall. Sonya is mid lane, off lane soaking, so it's a 4-on-5 top in favor of Dad Bods.
Yeah, Ragnar's going to be in a lot of trouble when he comes out here.
Hook on Diablo. I'm not sure if that's the guy you want to bring closer. APOC coming out now.
Here's your Wombo.
Now that was a really nice Putrid Bile by Stitches, and Riptire obliterates Medivh.
Lava Wave getting value in the team fight. That's great. Takes out Diablo. Well done.
So Sonya shows up just in the nick of time. A hook onto Gul'dan. He might be in trouble there. The spear, I think, doesn't land.
Oh, excellent fear to save the day.
Yeah, Bloody Regime with a really nice disengaging fear. And that's the first, I think, decisive moment that we've seen out of Wholesome Halfwits there. Really decisive defense, winning the team fight 2-0. Nice Putrid Bile, followed up by the Riptire to get Medivh early in that team fight.
Yeah, Dad Bods opened the fight really well with the Leyline into APOC combo, but just didn't have the follow-up damage to really capitalize on it.
And I want to see...
Aggression.
Oh, a little late. The idea was there, but Halfwit's not quite able to get there in time.
Just a little late.
Now, what I do want to see one or both of these teams do is time out their bruisers for the objective to get that off-lane pushing.
Medieval scout at this Khazra camp being taken by the Wholesome Halfwits. Doesn't look like they're going to do much about it. Just take the bottom one instead.
And now here's the invade. It looks like we're going to have a 5-on-5 over this camp that has already been secured by Dad Bods. Sonya in deep takes a ton of damage, and she is done. And that Lornado is absolutely wrecking. Lornado MVP. Diablo's
goes
body cascading through the air in a great
Huge
horrify. However, that slam damage is doing absolute work. And I don't know if that was a hero's fight or a barroom brawl. 7 total deaths.
So, Junkrat's passive, where he drops the mines or the bombs after he dies, actually took out Deckard and Malthael there as well.
So a 4 for 3 in favor of Dad Bods. In the meantime, though, Halfwits, they're going to pick up mid fort just from Merc pressure.
Yeah, that's really great. It's always nice to see a little macro go into the game, picking up some good structure damage there.
So both teams about to be on the board, 5v5. Actually, Gul'dan may have saved it. He arrived just in the nick of time to save it. However, since the next objective is mid, that fort being so low is going to be a big deal if Halfwits is able to secure the objective.
Yeah, that should go down pretty quickly. And if Wholesome Halfwits does lose or win the objective rather, it's probably a wise idea for Dad Bods to just pull back to their keep wall and leave that fort to fall, because it's not really going to provide much in terms of defense.
Now, let's talk about, as this objective pops, this NGS season winding down, about 2.5 weeks left. A little skirmish here in the top lane. So that means teams are trying to finally posture for playoff position, and we'll probably put this little chat on hold. Gul'dan is showing in the top lane. I'd really like to see Halfwits be more aggressive here with Gul'dan showing bottom.
Yeah, no, for sure. Whenever you have a 4v5 advantage, just jump on it.
Especially because this will be the last chance before 20.
Exactly. That's it's pretty key here. Medivh doing a good job scouting out Stitches and Sonya there, keeping track of them. And the rest of his team play a little safer.
One of the most annoying things to be on the other side of is that bird stalking you and you can't do anything about it.
The worst thing ever is that he can spray while he's flying.
Oh, I might have to play Medivh now just to do that.
It's pretty fun when you're the Medivh, but when you're not, it's a little frustrating.
So now Wholesome Halfwits, they need to pick up 20 here in a hurry, or this objective going to go down. They're pretty close, though. Looks like Rag will go bottom. He'll probably pick 20 up off that bot lane, and they will probably be ready to contest when Dad Bods is about halfway through with this, I would imagine. And they got to go in hard as soon as that 20 hits. You can see they're waiting.
Rags come up, but they still don't have 20.
And maybe they could have gotten mid-fort to do that. They're running out of time here. 20 on the horizon, and they're forcing in without it.
Hellgate. There's the ley line into APOC. APOC just a little bit too early.
Yeah, not a lot of value out of the APOC. A big shield barrier out of Lucio. However, he's in a lot of trouble and will be the first casualty. And the Mortar Punisher picked up. Wholesome Halfwits needs to get out of here real quick.
Guac Cousteau might be next to go. That'll do it.
So big opportunity here for Dad Bods, taking down 2 members of Wholesome Halfwits. They had the right idea to wait for that 20. They just ended up kind of with the worst of both worlds. They didn't get 20 and they contested late. Right idea, but weren't able to quite pick up that 20 in time. Nice bait by the Stitches, pulling John Cena between 2 keeps. That's what you want to do.
It's definitely best case scenario here. Your mid keep is certainly dead. Hopefully not core. That's all you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, they're eyeballing core, and they might be able to do it with John Cena.
Bubba's walking in the middle. He's pretty low.
Yeah.
He's gonna get out though.
Shields down.
Should be the end of the core.
Yeah, that's going to be game.
So well played, all in all. I think from both sides. A couple of team fights went on the side of Dad Bods, and that'll do it.
You know, we talked after the draft. We were worried where the damage was going to come out for Wholesome Halfwits, and then also where the follow-up to the hook was going to come. I think those comp issues definitely showed up that game.
Yeah, when you do draft the Stitches, it's a very large investment in that single target blow-up kind of composition, and if you don't draft some burst damage to follow it, it's typically rather ineffective.
So Deckard healing, you can see the numbers are there. 83,000 healing out of Deckard, so really well played there. and you know, ironically, you look at these damage numbers; they were actually higher on the side of Wholesome Halfwits, 61,000 out of Junkrat and 46 out of a slam build Stitches. I assume that was slam build to get that. Yeah, it was to get that kind of damage. Never could quite finish though, and with the pseudo double support, hard for them to secure kills as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. You have a lot more damage mitigation on their side, so those damage numbers must be a lot higher in order to deal with that.
All right, so let's go off to Game 2. We'll have Dad Bods attempting to secure the domination. Wholesome Halfwits attempting to salvage that first game and pick up a draw.
And yeah, we'll be going to Brax's Holdout. It's always it's a good time.
If you say so. I don't see a whole lot of Brax's Holdout.
Nor do I. That's why it's fun.
I think... I'm going to hazard a guess and say it's one of the least, if not the least popular map in the competitive rotation.
I believe in NGS it might actually be Sky Temple. For whatever reason, teams might feel a little less comfortable on that one. But I know for like HGC, and specifically my team, we're not going to be drafting Brax's Holdout.
No, I don't. I just don't like playing on it.
It's one of those maps where, I mean, you can snowball the game super quickly because of the 2-lane function and the way the
100%.
So it's kind of a big risk to bring yourself there, but you know, maybe if you have a good strategy or you can manipulate the map well, you can take a win. Any highlight players coming out to you there?
Whew. That's a good question.
I know for me, the Lucio player, Dragon Slayer, really, with some really clutch sound barriers, kept them in the game for a very long time.
Yeah, and the Medivh actually made a couple of nice plays as well. There was a portal over a wall to finish a kill, and a couple of nice ley lines too.
Yeah, for sure. They were setting up that combo pretty well. A little missed timing on, I think, the last one. As well as Medivh just pressuring the backline with those arcane riffs. What was it called? Yeah,
and the ley line APOC is the timing is much more difficult than the VP APOC. It is harder to pull off. You actually have to time it. You can't just let your Zera player drop it. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but I used to be a Zeratul player for a long time. Did not know that you could cancel the White Prism for about a year of playing Zeratul.
I guarantee you are not alone in that confession.
Yeah. It was the classic APOC ring setup that we'd figured it out in comms, just have the perfect timing set up where the Void Prism would expire, but like it turns out you could just cancel it. Which makes it a lot easier.
So
what do you like to see on Braxis here?
I think one of the big keys to Braxis, if you can control that solo lane, it's a really big deal, like a really big deal. That's why you see kind of, and in Division D, I think it's more likely you're going to see this, but kind of weird heroes that are kind of solo lane niche, like a Rexar is actually really solid on here if you know how to play Rexar. I've seen some pretty bizarre stuff in that top lane, but that's the big one, is you have to win the top lane, and this is why I invite one team at a time, because I know these teams are wrong.
Yeah, Bubba and Niles.
All right, Bubba was on, Oral Labs, right? Bubba was on Team 2, right? Swap. Yeah. Ogle the Great was on there. Bloody, is that? Nope, I think
Niles with Dr.
Sigil, yeah.
They got the portraits lined up for you on the one side.
Oh, that always helps. I love when they do that.
Yeah.
So we started to talk about the end of the NGS season here, wrapping up. So coming into this week, Dad Bods were sitting in 7th place, right at the cutoff for the playoffs. And Wholesome Halfwits were sitting in 8th place. So these two teams were right next to each other. Both of them really hanging on to those last playoff spots. And only 5 points in Division D East coming into this week, separating 5th place and 9th place. 10th place only 2 points behind them. So a lot of shuffling that can happen. This game definitely
Yeah, this is a huge game for both teams then.
Yeah, for sure. So VGC Dad Bods coming into. All right, both teams are. Here we go. VGC Dad Bods coming into this week was 3 wins, a draw, and 4 losses. However, earlier this week they picked up a domination over Pork Slap. So they're looking for a double domination. Would be a huge week for them. Now, currently sitting at 4 wins, a draw, and 4 losses. Wholesome Halfwit. Any week you can pick up double domination is big time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 6 points at this point in the scheduling is pretty impactful in terms of ranking, for sure.
Want to make sure somebody's throwing me question marks. I want to make sure we. Okay, looks like we're okay. I may have assigned the wrong banner, but I think they can get that. Yeah. Wholesome Halfwits. Just tell me what to ban. There you go. Wholesome Halfwits was in 8th place. 2 wins, 3 draws, 2 losses. This is their first game this week. They're playing the 7th place team in Dad Bods today. Actually, just before this, I don't know the outcome of this game, but just before this, they played Zul'jin Distillery, who is in 6th place. So the 6th, 7th, and 8th place teams all playing. So really a lot of playoff implications for this set.
Yeah, no, for sure. Every game matters at this point if those teams are that closely grouped. We got the Garrosh ban and then the return for the Ragnaros ban. Apparently, they don't want to deal with that Ragnaros again, and then he's a very strong top laner as well on this map. Obviously, Lava Wave actually getting huge value against the Zerg, as well as his trait, letting him raid boss and defend.
Yeah, the trait is really powerful against stopping that Zerg rush. And you can almost solo do it in the early game anyway.
Yeah, it's really strong. What would you like to see for first pick here?
I don't want to, unless there's somebody they really, really like in the solo lane, I wouldn't want to tip my solo lane this early. If they have a Stukov player, Stukov is really aggravating on Braxis Holdout. When you're sieging with the Zerg, you can put that zoning silence right in the middle of the enemy team. It makes it hard for them to get in there. It's great for the holding the point, but they opt for the solo lane Sonya. Sonya, one of the most powerful solo laners, so I really don't mind that pick either.
Yeah, Sonya is always good. She's she never really left the meta. I was gonna say she comes and goes, but no, she's always there. She's got a lot of nerfs and a lot of buffs, and they keep just bringing her up and down, but she's always strong. And
the Diablo Medivh immediate response out of Dad Bods: if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, well, I don't know why you would. And Medivh coming in actually really strong in this map. You can kind of just flutter between both lanes and then portal the Diablo over the wall, so he can get a quick gank onto the top lane.
And now coming back with an Alarak, a Nubarak. That is a really aggressive, dangerous combination there if that Alarak can hit his stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. You have the Ancient Spear as well on top of the combo for the CC here. A lot of burst damage and CC chain.
If Wholesome Halfwits can get a hold of that Stukov, I really like a Stukov still for them. That's a whole lot of silence coming out of that side.
Yeah, no, for sure. I like it on both sides here. Dad Bods would do well with the Stukov as well. Oh, there's the ban. Won't be seeing it tonight.
Are we going to see a mouth ban coming the other way, or maybe a Morales is sometimes hot on Braxis Holdout? You see teams prioritize that a little more than normal.
Yeah, it could be. Could be any support if they'd like. All DPS, a ranged DPS, I should say, as Alarc's been picked up, is still available for both sides. The Malthael ban, a little respect. It's good.
And I think not just a respect ban, but Malthael is one of the few solo laners who can really give Sonya a hard time out there. So both a targeted ban and a ban that just plain makes sense.
I think if they did have to go up against the Malthael, Alarak might do a little bit better into that matchup, and he's actually a pretty decent solo laner himself.
For sure.
So it might have been better with him up there if they had to.
So now what's the pick here out of Dad Bods? I think at this point you can probably leave your solo laner to last because he's probably not going to get picked by the side of Halfwits. So probably a DPS and a support here coming out, I would guess.
I'd love to see a Jaina Malfurion here if I was on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Some ring follow-up for the APOC into Leyline combo.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be a big wombo coming out of Dad Bods if they went that direction.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun to watch too. Also provides a good clear on the Cirquwave. I'm gonna go for the Deckard again and the Gul'dan.
So far, that's the exact same comp.
Yeah,
If it's not broken, don't fix it. Gul'dan is excellent on Braxis. Deckard, I don't think I've seen him on it, but just kind of paper theory crafting, I would imagine he's good on Braxis too.
So actually, a really cool thing with Deckard, you can bring him if you do a rotation, which people tend to do a lot more, moving your 4-man around the map a little bit more than other maps, where you take that top camp and then Deckard can come drop some healing potions for your top laner, just so that he has some extra sustain and can win that fight.
Yeah, they definitely can make a cameo in the solo lane, drop a potion or 2 or 3, and come back down and give his solo laner a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, and the solo laner can just use them whenever they want because they last for so long.
Yep, for sure. So 2 picks coming. They're really thinking about these ones, Wholesome Halfwits. It's obviously going to be a support of some kind. Malph's still on the board if they want to go that route, and a DPS.
Yeah, the range, a Greymane would be pretty good. Oh, Kel'Thas. Okay. We wanted him last game. Here he is.
And Lucio again. I mean, Lucio's a nice soft counter to the Gul'dan. Not big time, but a little damage over time, countered a little bit of healing over time.
Yeah, he keeps up better than most healers with the Gul'dan pick. Also, the Sound Barrier can help out a lot if Lucio doesn't get caught in the ley line for the APOC combo for the rest of his team.
100% is true. 100% true.
I like the Kel'Thas pickup as well. Just added extra CC and burst for the follow-up for all the CC they already have. So
yeah,
he's
he's
pretty good.
Whoever ends up playing that Kel'Thas, you just got to be really careful with your positioning with a Medivh
Awesome.
Diablo. Blaze is a great pick. I still think even skill Sonya wins that, but Blaze is going to hold up as good as anybody.
I really like the pickup here. It's another layer of protection if they do decide to go with the bunker, or if they actually decide to go with his other ultimate, adds additional wombo combo potential.
They could,
walk up
yeah.
to that ley line and blow up. And then even if he doesn't winning necessarily in the top lane, he doesn't really lose out in structure damage as well because he's such good wave clear
Right.
and sustain.
I mean,
We can see a lot of rotations because of the Medivh to bring that Diablo up to help him.
yeah, we're definitely going to pop in on that solo lane matchup, assuming it's the Blaze and the Sonya, because I've seen some really great one-on-one battles with that particular matchup. It's a pretty close one.
Yeah, it's really entertaining as well. Just seeing if the Blaze can land that stun, maybe block out the Whirlwind, or if Sony's hitting her Qs. It's good. It's a good fight. And then Brax's holdout, of course, always has the additional globe up away from the lane as well, so that'll be interesting to see who can control the extra globe.
So here we go into map 2 between Dad Bods and Wholesome Halfwits. This would be a huge win for Dad Bods. Would give them a double domination this week, and I would guess pretty much clinch their playoff spot in Division D East. On the flip side, Wholesome Halfwits currently sitting in 8th place. They need all the points they can get to hold off Disturbance and Screaming Weenies. So a big game for both sides.
For sure.
Blue team, Dad Bods. Murphy is on. Is that Deckard? He's a little small. Yeah, Murphy on Deckard Kane. We have Ogle the Great on Medivh again. Orolobe on Diablo. Blaze played by Neelis. And I felt like I forget some Bloody Regime on Gul'dan.
And for the side of Wholesome Halfwits, we have Malice's Mal on Sonya. We have Bubba on the Anubarak. Dr. Selja on Kel'Thas. Guac Cousteau's on the Alaric, hitting a good combo. And Dragon Slayer on that Lucio once again.
So a little bit of a different setup here. Most teams usually adhere to the kind of gentleman's agreement that they send their solo laners top. However, 4-man in the top lane for Wholesome Halfwits, 4-man in the bottom lane for Dad Bods, and the solo laners on both sides getting abused.
So we're going to see both teams just trade out front walls here. We'll see if that translates into forward as well.
Yeah, I'm curious who wins this race. I'm trying to...
Tight.
It is very tight. A slight advantage, I think, to Wholesome Halfwits. And actually, now that they've... Dad Bods has conceded the game of chicken, this is definitely going to play into Wholesome Halfwits' advantage here.
Yeah, no, for sure. Good combo. Silence on the Blaze. Getting low.
Alarak is, in my experience, really feast or famine, depending on the player. Early returns are, though, that Guac Cousteau knows what he's doing.
Looks that way for sure. Already landed 2 combos on the side of Blaze inside of 1 minute in the game.
So now we're going at it backwards.
Wall
The four man's in the top. Blaze and Sonya will duel in the bottom, and let's see how this plays out.
Guac's in trouble here. Oh, good. Anubrak's done to keep him alive.
Now that whole time, Kael'thas wasn't here, so maybe a little more patience out of Wholesome Halfwits and Guac Cousteau wouldn't need to tap. Top lane pad secured by Bods. Bottom lane contested by both.
Yeah, to be picked up. It looks like Malicious Smile is about to get it, given that he has the higher HP and the better wave clear at the moment.
So let's check in on bottom as Sonya and Blaze going at it. Sonya currently winning it, and she has also secured the bottom pad there for the side of Wholesome Halfwits.
Or Lobo's up on top, getting a lot of trouble. Force of Will saves his life. Good root comes out as follow-up to keep him going there as well.
Yeah, so far.
Pad's over.
Yeah, definitely picking up the Zergs here for the side of Wholesome Halfwits, and KT is getting a lot of value so far. And Medivh in trouble, or Diablo, I should say, in trouble.
Medivh kept him alive a little bit longer than I thought he would have, too. Well done.
And Malicious Mal really doing a nice job here in the bottom, keeping Blaze back, and that is a early 100-0 Zerg wave in favor of Wholesome Halfwits, and they already have the 4-man in the lane to push with this.
Yeah, we might be seeing one of those snowball-y Braxis holdout games, which we were talking about in the pregame.
Yeah, and just, operating under the assumption that Wholesome Halfwits is able to secure a little bit of a lead with this wave. This fort is already just down. But assuming they get a level or 2 lead here, Kael'thas and Alarak in particular really get even more oppressive with a little bit of a level lead.
Yeah, no, for sure. Oh, good combo coming up.
Diablo's done.
Very well. This kill could net them.
Guac Cousteau setting it up, and the alley-oop for a Nubarak by Bubba takes out Diablo yet again.
We'll see if they just back away after getting this front wall, but if they're really ambitious, they could push for keep.
Yeah, I think a little early for keep. They're going to start running out of mana and cooldowns. But so far, no signs of retreating.
That looks like... it looks like they're heading down.
Yeah, so, and they are a 1.5 level lead 4 minutes into the game. Wholesome Halfwits showing no ill effects from that game 1 loss.
No, for sure. Could we be seeing a split in points for the 7th and 8th seed? That'd be fitting.
Yeah, I mean, Wholesome Halfwits really... I'm curious to see what happened the first game with Zul'jin, but if they didn't pick up any points in their game earlier today against Zul'jin Distillery, they really need these points, so this would be a big win for them. Regardless of the outcome of this game, Dadbod's having a good week. The worst they can get is a domination and a draw.
Medivh with the bluff portal will scare Wholesome Halfwits off that point for a little bit.
So it will be interesting to see what teams do here. If I'm Wholesome Halfwits, I swap the 4-man and the solo, send Sonya to the top. There's just not much to fight and get your 4-man pressuring in the bot.
Yeah, not to mention you give a huge advantage to Malicious Mal with the fountain being up top for him, but not for Blaze.
A miss on the stun keeps Blaze alive, and Nubarak not quite able to hit that one. Blaze would have gone down if the burrow charge connected there.
Big applause to Ogle the Great. His Force of Wills and Portals have been on point this game, keeping his team alive.
Yeah, actually, Ogle the Great had a great portal there for Blaze. Blaze just opted to walk by it to survive instead, but it was there for him if he needed it. That's one of the issues, honestly, with Medivh, is not only do you need a player who is good on the Medivh, but you have to get your team used to playing with the Medivh talents.
Yeah, no, for sure. The defensive side of it is really important for all of your team. Whoa, Kelthas coming really low. Yeah, for every player. And then the offensive side is more coordination with the tank. So if we get those two on the same wavelength, they can get up to some pretty nasty combos.
So big problems here for Dadbods when 10 hits They should be able to secure a 100-0 here with the 10 to probably about 8.5 advantage. Curious to see how Dad Bods responds to that kind of a discrepancy. They have all 5 members here bottom missing Soak top. I guess they're deciding they can... Kael'thas in trouble. However, nice peels from his teammates, and he's able to slowly saunter out of trouble.
Blaze with a huge stun.
However, Sonya AFK pushing top, a nice shadow charge.
Bubba goes down as well. Alarak in trouble now.
So they answered my question for me. They responded to that disadvantage by not letting it happen and killing 4 members before level 10 hits.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
One way to do it.
A little bit of comeback, yeah.
That was actually a great shot call. Let's bring all 5 down here, and let's take this fight right now. And they, in that team fight, basically completely erased the 2-level lead that Wholesome Halfwits had. That was big.
Clever play from Okul the Great. Just drops the portal even though he's not there yet, just to scare whoever's away so we can get an early cap on the pad up top.
So Wholesome Halfwits trying to secure top. Currently both beacons controlled by the Dad Bods.
They should be backing off here pretty shortly.
Nice cocoon onto the Diablo, so it's 5 on 4.
Line.
Yeah, but there's no APOC to follow up because Dibbles is in the cocoon.
Rude.
A nice counter strike by Alarak there to avoid the APOC, and they force Dad Bods off the point, and Diablo in a little bit of trouble.
Gul'dan will dissuade Kael'thas from pursuing that any further with the good corruption.
However, both points now controlled by Wholesome Halfwits, and Blaze in trouble.
Yeah. He should be... Oh, good bunker.
Medivh might get him out of here, yep. Yeah, they're still not going to get this point back, but Medivh to the rescue. Now a huge combo out of Alarak. However, an even bigger Horrify. Sonya is not for this world, except for...
Dragon Slayer coming huge with that sound barrier once again.
And on the back of that sound barrier was a gigantic AoE spell coming out of Kael'thas there. Really chunked them out. However, Sonya does go down on the re-engage, and both sides almost identical in Zerg wave capture right now.
Yeah, either side will have a fairly large wave to contend with.
Now, I really like this call by Dad Bods. They know they're there. They're taking bot fort for free. Sonya has just spawned and for the side of Halfwits, so both teams now at full strength as the Dad Bods secure bot fort and a slight XP lead. At one point, they were 2.5 levels down.
Yeah, that was an excellent shot calling. Get that free fort. All you lost was a siege camp on the side of Wholesome Halfwits.
Now, at some point,
they're going to invade.
Yeah, at some point, they're going to have to respond to that pressure top. It is going on keep here. An aggressive invade by the Anub, and they almost steal. Bunker goes out. There's the ley line Anub.
APOC.
APOC. Everybody pressing their R buttons.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. Cocoon's out. Dan is quite low. Anubarak will be our first victim. Wow.
That was a whole lot of abilities used to secure just Anubarak. Both sides really with a knockdown, drag out, full on brawl there, and a 1-0 minor victory for Dad Bods. That will get them the Zerg wave though. In the meantime though, those little siege giant that puts the negative armor on the siege, they push hard, and they almost got a keep out of that in the top lane.
That opened up a win condition for Wholesome Halfwits. If they do get a wipe at any point in the game, they can just walk down top lane, go right through that keep onto core.
Yeah, Kael'thas is really good about burning these waves down, and with a big wave bottom, Dad Bod's not going to fully commit to pressuring with this Diablo silenced and then charged in a lot of trouble. Lornado completely zoning out the members of Halfwits. And
Nubrak, I don't believe has burrow charged. That cocoon will keep them alive.
And now all members here for the side of Wholesome Halfwits, not the same for Dad Bods, and the members of Dad Bods are in trouble. Already Deckard Cain has gone down. Diablo and Blaze running for their life. Blaze will get away. Diablo will not. So they cleared out the top Zerg wave, killed 2 members. I want the keep call right now. I want to see Wholesome Halfwits beeline for this half-dead keep. However, they are not doing it. They are opting instead to invade. and maybe a better call with the death timer so low and Diablo immediately respawning with souls.
Yeah, as much as we've had structural damage in this game, it is only 11 minutes in. It's hard as to believe. Get a leyline APOC, but there's not going to be any follow-up. Now, Diablo's on an island.
And Diablo has no souls. He can be brought down pretty easily, and there it is. And a great combo out of Alarak. Gul'dan intelligently does not proc the Counter-Strike, and because nobody proc the Counter-Strike on Guac Cousteau, Gul'dan lives to see another day. That was a nice attempt on the ley line steal by Ogle the Great. He was like a half a second late with that ley line, though, in the top lane.
So yeah, Viking camp being cleaned up top. Firebat's going to be pushed into this bottom fort here.
Great call by the side of... Yeah, Halfwits. This is a free fort.
Yeah, for sure.
Now you got to blow out after this, though. And there it is.
Levels 13 to 13, pretty much even in experience now.
Yeah, that just before 10 team fight that Bods took really brought them back in this game, because this was looking like it could snowball. There's the bird taunting, by the way, on the spray, if you saw it there.
GG, well played.
And here's the invade by Bods, another full brawl, big time blaze stun. Deckard is cocoon, no heals, everyone pressing their R buttons. And who's going to be the first to go down? It is Alarak. Sonya very close to following as well.
Oh,
wow.
Shadow Charge follows Sonya through her Ancient Spear. Doesn't quite get her because there's a wall in the way.
So only Alarak falling, but this game is close as can be. Very slight structural lead to the side of Wholesome Halfwits. However, Bods with the about a half level, third of a level lead. So very, very close for both sides.
Yeah, this forward will give him a little bit extra experience as well.
The way these teams are posturing, we're going to have another one of these coming out here real quick, and this next one could be really decisive.
Blaze is going bottom. Hopefully...
Nope, he's coming back.
Diablo goes right in. APOC's out.
Now, Diablo still doesn't have full soul, so he can't really be Lornado wrecking again.
Huge value. Bunker's coming in huge as well for damage mitigation. Get a little armor to everybody.
Deckard Cain, played by Murphy, both of these games has gotten huge value out of Lornado in those choke points. Horrified.
Excellent fear.
This is going to be an ace. This is, well, maybe not now. Nice counter kill. That was very surprising.
He was getting out.
What looked like an ace, Dragon Slayer with another huge sound barrier actually turns into a 3-for-1. Could have been a lot worse. And they will have a small window with the numbers advantage when Kael'thas spawns here.
Yeah, Dragon Slayer making huge plays all series long with that ultimate. However, they're going to lose probably about 60% of the Zerg wave before they can get to that top lane.
And Bods just captured 16. Alarak, so 4-man here, really invading this top. 16 to 14. I think you're going to have to play a little bit of Ring Around the Rosie if you're the side of Wholesome Halfwits here until you try to get on 16. That's kind of hard to do with the Medivh, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't party bush him, you can't ambush him.
Leyline's back up as well, so he can force you to fight whenever he wants.
So both teams posturing. Wholesome Halfwits willing to take this fight 15 to 16. Guac Cousteau in a lot of trouble. Does pop Counter-Strike and then explodes. I assume that was to the...
Oh, the Great goes down to Phoenix.
What's the reflect talent on the Medivh shield? Arcane Explosion, as I assume what took out Alarak there. 1-for-1. However, the battle does buy enough time for Bods to get a 100 to, I'm going to say 10 Zerg wave.
Looks that way. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty powerful Zerg rush. And level 16 advantages. This definitely a keep. Could be more.
Yeah, I mean, if something goes really wrong here for Halfwits, this could be a core call. Kael'thas really doing a nice job of clearing out as best he can, and him and Alarak are the only ones that are really going to be good at that. Diablo going very deep. Keep falls, though. Double root out of Deckard.
Sonya in some trouble here.
Yeah.
Should be going down.
And she does.
Coon on Blaze. Kalphas now, next one to go down.
And that should be game. Well,
should be. Yeah.
Yeah, there it goes.
It's game. Yeah.
That will be game. So overcoming a
nail biter. Sure.
yeah, huge early game deficit. Overcome by Dad Bods. Really well played by them to overcome that and take a double domination for them this week. That was huge.
Yeah, like we were saying earlier, 6 points. It's kind of a big deal. So congratulations, Dad Bods.
Yeah, that like I said, I think I haven't actually done the math, but I would assume that should get them pretty close to actually clinching the playoff or a playoff berth. Let's see if we can get maybe Murphy in here for a quick post-game chat.
Good idea.
Anything jump out at you while we got the stat screen up here?
No deaths on Blaze. That's pretty impressive considering the amount of ganks that they tried to get him with.
Yeah, he had one where the Anubarak just missed the stun. Otherwise, that would have done it. But
Bloody Regime doing really good job on those horrifies. I felt like both games. Ogle the Great, I think, played out of his mind on Medivh. And a little bit of miscommunications maybe between him and Orlob, but all in all, pretty good Medivh Diablo synergy.
And I'm sure we'll talk to Murphy about it. He may have actually just popped in here.
Okay.
And he did.
With me.
Hello.
Hey, welcome guys. Congratulations. If my research serves me well, that is a double domination for you guys this week, yeah?
Correct.
Congratulations. That's big time, right? And sitting in 7th place coming into this week, so that'll probably put you in the playoffs, I would imagine, pretty much for sure. So congrats there.
Yeah, that's going to knock Disturbance out from taking the lead from us, so we get at least the 8th seed. Nice.
Congratulations, guys. That'll be fun going in. Talk about Game 2 when you guys fell pretty far behind early. What were comms like? What were you talking about to try to get back in that?
We kind of have this problem where in the beginning we just struggle, and then I basically just do a huge pep talk. I'm like, all right, guys, just calm down, play our game. We're still in this. And then we kind of just group up. We take the team fight before 10, and then we just get back in it.
Well, you guys definitely took the team fight before 10, took a 4-0. I mean, you guys captured him like 5 seconds before 10. It was really perfect timing on that. Hey, Murphy, talk about those Lornados, man, because you had, between the two games, probably 3, 4, 5 absolute monster Lornados in some choke points.
Yeah, I've literally just been spam practicing Deckard Cain since he was allowed to play on NGS and just practicing on all those choke points right in the team fights. Just calling them out for my team, and then you're pretty much just in trouble if you get caught in that. Like, we just deleted the Sonya on that one. I felt a little bad.
That was pretty good.
Famous.
The synergy between your Medivh and Diablo, pretty good. I was impressed. You guys really pulled that off.
Yeah, we've been practicing that a little bit too since it's funny. The first time we ran it, our because we run Zeratul too, and our Diablo's used to the Void Prism being shut off. So the first time we ran it, he sent the APOC right away, and he was just like, "Why didn't they get stunned?" And we were like, "You got to time it right." So that was a huge thing on him just watching the timers.
Right on. That's good. Your solo laner as well, Niles. That's you were in call, I believe.
Yeah.
So you did a really good job. You managed to be the only hero to not die in that last game, surviving a couple ganks just narrowly. It's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Any closing thoughts or shout-outs on the series?
We've grown huge, I will say that. Starting off our season with 4 losses, just complete domination against us. Now we've gotten 5 dominations, and we're on the track to playoffs. So, huge practicing. Shout out to John Knight on Average Joe's.
Sure.
He's been great coaching us.
Yeah, he's been
done VOD reviews for like 6 hours at some points.
So you're the team that he's been tweeting about. So great to see my guys doing well, improving.
Yeah, the support he gives us is amazing. He's taught us so much.
Yeah, we actually just my squad just started getting a coach too, and you just don't realize how valuable that outside input is until you get it. It's really important and such a great tool to improve.
Yeah, it helps out huge when you just have a different guy looking at it, because when you're in a game, you're pretty much thinking everyone. I know no one will admit this, but everyone's pretty much thinks they're the best players.
Sure.
When you have a person on the outside just kind of criticizing you correctly, it's just a huge help to actually improve yourself.
That's awesome.
All right, guys. Congratulations on the double domination, and I look forward to seeing you in the playoffs.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks for casting us.
Anytime.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks a lot.
So our game 2 of our doubleheader scheduled to start here in about 15 minutes, Famous. So
Perfect.
we're going to take about a 5 to 7 minute break so I can get some water and rest my voice and feed my cat so he shuts up. And then we'll get this going for our game 2 versus Psycho Swarm versus Team Apitas in Division C West. We'll be right back.